It's time for another Q&A. Time for the British Fist to once again answer the questions you have sent in to us. We have plenty lined up today, including the question, how would the Wyatts look beardless? Important questions like that need to be answered, don't they, before WrestleMania, NJ?
Yep, with the key factors of wrestling businesses, beard is the future of wrestling.
Indeed, and it is also the present, as most wrestlers definitely seem to have beards, and I'm even trying to sport myself a beard, and I'm sure Chase Oliver is also trying to sport himself a beard as well, and even Schleg Daddy has his little goatee. Hell, even Full Killer has kind of a beard. The only person in the YWC that doesn't have a beard is Deluxe Man.
And me.
And you, but then again, Deluxe Man has dreads, I believe, so that kind of makes up for that.
And that's a minute of our Q&A. Showing out many YouTubers.
Indeed. Well deserved, in my opinion. But if you want to ask us more questions, all the methods are in the description box below. Let's just get straight onto this. Before we do this, I'm Mr. Park, and this is NJ, people.
What's up?
Nice setup there to a great finish. Unlike a TNA match.
Until next time, YouTubers, thank you very much, and escape.
Howard Starr, just like Deuce, aka Sim Snooker, came out as revealing himself as Jimmy Snooker's son on Raw 6 years ago, will Roman Reigns reveal himself as The Rock and Yokozuna's cousin? I think the only time they'll probably reveal that is if they do like a video package segment which is highlighting his family, and you know, to have him be associated with The Rock and Yokozuna, it wouldn't exactly be a bad thing for Roman Reigns, even though you'd think he'd want to sort of make his own name and go out by himself, etc.
When they go on and push Roman Reigns as the top guy, I think prep talk from a big match from The Rock would be good, or with Rock maybe come back as a heel in many years' time to go against Roman Reigns and say, I don't like the path of going down, or to prove to you got beat me, something like that. One of the two. I think that's the only way the WWE would point up the cousins.
Yes, I really do think that would be the case. How would the Wyatts look beardless? They would look hard to say, really, because I just can't imagine them being beardless.
Nope.
Very uninspiring, not very scary, weird.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably the best answer we got for that. Fury179201. Another Roman Reigns question. Very popular on this Q&A. Will Roman Reigns main event of next WrestleMania? And if so, who will be his opponent, and where is the youth movement already? Will Roman Reigns main event next year's WrestleMania?
I think, because it didn't happen this year, it's going to be given to Daniel Bryan. I think when they're going to take Daniel Bryan seriously once again, I think it's not happening this year. We'll give it to you next year.
Roman Reigns, WrestleMania 31, depends how much they're going to push this guy and how much of a rocket ship they're going to shove up his ass. I'd say more WrestleMania 32 personally. I think WrestleMania 31 maybe Daniel Bryan's year. You know, maybe SummerSlam I think will be Daniel Bryan's pay-per-view, but who knows? Who will be his opponent?
Roman Reigns at the time. The fact that, let's say go with WrestleMania 32.
It can't be a Brock Lesnar. Doubt it'll be a Triple H. It'll probably be wrestling for the title, so whoever's the champion, it may be John Cena. Maybe it'll be John Cena putting over Roman Reigns. Two big baby faces in the business going at it. Who knows? I know it's a laughable now, but you never know. 2 years down the line, Cena may change his mind. And where is the youth movement already? There is a plenty of youth movement. There's so many people have come up from NXT lately, like, you know, Damian Sandow. I know there are a lot of people out there that maybe haven't been spotlighted that much, you know, from NXT, but you've got Cesaro, not exactly young, you know, you've got people like Sami Zayn coming through, you've got Fandango coming through, the Primetime Players came through, a lot of wrestlers on the roster, like Roman Reigns, The Shield, the Wyatt family, the Big E Langston. The youth movement is there. It's just WWE's job to establish them as names.
And steadily, they are starting to gradually get pushes. It just depends if the WWE go forward with their pushes. Cesaro to branch off. Damon Sandow's gone, sadly. It just depends if they continue to push him.
Jamie01. That's JMIO1, not the name Jamie, by the way. Do you think CM Punk will come back? It's hard to say. I mean, I imagine if he's offered a decent amount of money for a short run, he will come back. But it's really up in the air as to whether or not he'll want to come back. I mean, it seems like he's made it clear that the WWE need him more than he needs the WWE. Really.
Sadly, we thought that Batista would unlikely come back because of his opinion on the wrestling business, but they found a way to bring him back. CM Punk may have left for different reasons, but I think the fact that CM Punk was one of the top guys, Vince McMahon realises this. I think over the next couple of months, they're going to keep trying to offer different stuff because I don't think a name like CM Punk is going to be out of the WWE for long.
No, I mean, he's sure as hell not going to be in TNA or ROH or anything like that. So the only place he could go would be WWE unless he makes a name for himself in another field, which, we'll see if he does that. Renegade Man, not golf, NJ. Renegade Man 83. If The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin were to start their careers in the PG era, do you think they would survive and be the big stars as they are today? That's interesting, really, because the whole point, the whole reason why Austin's and Rock's characters got over is because of the attitude. Austin with the beer drinking and the fingers and the "give me a hell yeah" and all that, and the Rock with his attitude and his catchphrases. I mean, the Rock, I think, would be a bigger star in today. Could be a star in today's era because I feel the Rock could have adapted. Steve Austin's character really did depend on that attitude, really. In a PG era, it wouldn't come across as good, but no doubt these two are kind of guys that could probably make themselves stars in a PG era, in my opinion, because they were incredibly talented individuals.
Well, Rock gave us a tease of being adapted to the era. Yes, it took him a year to finally find the settled ground, but I think he could work. Austin, it'd be a real struggle because he has to watch his language, he'd have to watch his movement, his promo work. Well, the WWE have in the past recently allow the wrestlers to branch out with their choice of words. But I think Austin would be more of a struggle.
It would be funny, wouldn't it? It's funny, isn't it? Because you have, remember when Sheamus had the Welterweight Championship run and everyone was saying, oh, he's winning all the time. This is boring. I hate Sheamus. I kind of think that if WWE would book Austin like in the Attitude Era and the PG
He's got to win this match.
People would probably say the same thing about Steve Austin and be like, well, he's boring. He wins all the time. What would happen if Batista didn't join Evolution, and would Mark Jindrak be a big star as he is today, since he was supposed to be the fourth original member of Evolution? What would have happened if Batista didn't join Evolution? Do you think he would have found a way to get over himself, or do you think Evolution was really what really made him into a massive star?
Move past the Devon rubbish that he went through. I think the fact that he was already big built, Vince would have caught sight of that and decided of ways of building that up more. So I'll say, just because of Vince's logic, I think he would have found a way to perform and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
He probably wouldn't have been as big of a star. I think Evolution really did make it, but he would have been some kind of star because Vince's erection for big muscle guys, etc. Hell, but as for Mark Jindrak, it's hard to say.
No.
Did he? We don't know if he had the talent, if he had the same mindset as Batista. Would they have booked him as strongly? It's really hard to say. I don't think he would have been as big of a star. I think it may have failed a little bit, but who knows? We really don't know how talented he was.
He's got too much of wildly charisma kind of attitude. I don't think he's as serious as the wrestlers of Orton, Triple H, Batista. I don't think he would have fit in.
412 Marky. What about Gunner versus Cena at WrestleMania 30? Because, I would love to see that. And for Gunner to physically destroy Cena, because, that would be for sure. Be best for business and it'll be effing epic. So please tell me, what's your thought on that? Cena would run over Gunner pretty... Although, to be honest, it wouldn't that be that bad of a feud to book and write for, with Gunner being in the Marines and John Cena being, not giving up, etc. Just saying.
The way I look at Gunner is that TNA took a long time to finally give him this push that he's recently getting. For him to go against John Cena, with John Cena already up there, already made it, I don't see him suddenly thinking, oh, there's this new guy who's recently been getting a push back in TNA, I'm going to make him beat me.
All fantasy bookers out there, feel free to chime in. Do you think what I think... Sorry, let me just rephrase that. Do you think what I think CM Punk leaving? That's how the question is stated. Do you think... I think basically this says, do you think CM Punk leaving is just a storyline? I don't think it is, because I don't think he would have left during WrestleMania season just for the sake of a storyline. I just don't see why he would miss out on that big payday.
It's like we mentioned earlier, this whole remind me of Batista. When Batista said, I quit, that's just a storyline, he'll come back. I think when CM Punk says it, yes, he went through, I'm going to run away with the championship, only for it to be fitted into the storyline to come back and stuff. At this time, the fact that CM Punk is starting to nitpick on stuff that he's not happy with, he's taken this break that he wants. So I don't think it's storyline, but I think he will come back.
And do you think CM Punk would return at Elimination Chamber? This would have been asked before the pay-per-view, but if I was answering this before, I would have said no, simply because I don't really see where he would have fitted into the pay-per-view.
I know you want to try and get CM Punk somehow into WrestleMania, so maybe he would have got himself in the chamber somehow, but I feel CM Punk, the fact he weren't already booked to be in it, I don't think he would have found a way.
So do you think CM Punk would turn heel after WrestleMania 30 and the night after Raw until the next pay-per-view or not, and why? I don't see why CM Punk would have turned heel. If he was in a storyline with Triple H, I doubt he would. I mean, there's no way they're going to take an anti-authority figure like CM Punk and, turn him heel, even though they did do it at one point, but that was mainly because CM Punk just knew he was never going to get beyond Cena, and he knew if he was a heel, at least he'd be the #1 heel. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Johnny Castaway. What is your opinion on wrestlers holding more than one title at a time? The last time it has happened outside of the unification with Orton, I believe, was with RVD. It would also bring prominence to the US title, which never gets spotlighted anymore. Well, judging that last bit, if the US title, and let's say a one-weight champion had the US title, why would the US title matter? It'd be on TV, but it would probably never get defended.
The way I'd personally do it, yes, the last time it happened was the 2 World Heavyweight Championships, when Orton and stuff and that. But I wouldn't mind seeing a mid-card hold both mid-card championships to move that forward.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
That's the way I would do it again. I'd be all for it, because obviously that's that wrestler claiming that he's the true mid-card champion and he could do what he wants with the belts. But I think it could happen again.
Similar to Kurt Angle, isn't it? WrestleMania, I believe it was 16 when he had the European and the IC belt and lost them both in the same night. And he, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't mind wrestlers holding more than one title at a time as long as it makes sense and it fits into the story. Like RVD was the ECW champion, and I believe he was the first person to hold both the ECW and the WWE championship. So that was kind of like a special moment at an ECW special pay-per-view they were doing. So in that case, it did make sense from a storyline standpoint.
And it did give us, ECW had a big storyline going. It's going to be a one-off thing, and then the John Cena thing. It made a story out of the feud and RVD.
Scott Ferguson. Any relation to Alex Ferguson? Just saying. Do you think Man United will have any hope of getting into the top 5?
No.
Do you know what? I'm inclined to agree with you. I know that was a total guess, MJ, but do you know what? The way that, at the moment, they're a long way from the top 4, and I think they're 7 or 8 points away from the top 5, so Man United are going to have to fucking win every single game if they're going to come even in the top 4 at this point, because right now they're just doing shit. The Brony Assassin 167. How would you build Ziggler back up unless Triple H grabs his shovel? No, so it's a burial reference, MJ. There, he's making fun of Triple H. Any response? You're like you're chewing something, right?
I don't know what I'm going to say, but that is not good. The whole shovel thing's been going on for a year. Triple H's like, haha, I'm laughing this up. Keep calling me. Go on. Look at my shovels.
Why would Triple H be intimidated by someone, insinuating that he's burying people? Why would you be? But how would we build Ziggler back up? Well, I guess at this point in time, even though he's been a former world champion, you'd probably have to give him a mid-card run, build him up that way. Because right now, he's kind of at jobber status, and it's got to the point where if you're losing to Ziggler, you're shit. Like Del Rio did on Raw.
I don't want to use the whole typical WWE's cheap way of building up stars, money in the bank. I really don't want to go down that route, especially if Ziggler's already held it. I'd probably have him, he's been in the ring with some bigger names.
Yeah.
So I think if he just starts to continue looking good, picking up fluky wins, and he starts to be taken seriously by fluky wins, that'd be a slow, steady build.
You need to put the guy in legit feuds, have him go a long way in the Royal Rumble, have him go a long way in the Elimination Chamber, give him a big match against a legend, possibly at WrestleMania. I know Mick Foley was floated out there a couple of years ago. They were obviously not going to do that. But Jericho, he did at SummerSlam. But you've got to give him wins. Right now he's losing every single match he's in. You have to give the guy wins if you're going to build him up. That's just the way it is. If you had to fire Wade Barrett or push Triple H, John Cena, Del Rio, and fire Mark Henry when he turns heel, what would you do?
You made it so obvious, and you're just saying it because Barrett is a UK #1 top guy. You know what the answer is.
Well, I've got some good news, but I'm not going to tell you that because I've got some bad news. I'll probably fire Wade Barrett because
that's what we're
just. I pushed Triple H, John Cena, Del Rio, and fire. Do you know what? Actually, I would rather push Triple H, John Cena, Del Rio, and fire Mark Henry when he turns heel. Fuck it. We need to stick up for our boys. I know Triple H has passed his time. You don't like Cena, I know, but we can deal with that if it means not firing Wade Barrett.
To be honest, as much as I love this bad news Barrett thing, to be honest, releasing him, if all they've got is bad news Barrett without any proper future, then sadly... Yeah.
He's no Magnus, is he? Let's face it. The Neon Brick. What would you do if this happened? Raw is going to Chicago and Bad News Barrett comes on and says, "Were you over for CM Punk? Well, I've got some bad news. He walked out on you and he ain't coming back." Well, first of all, WWE were never going to utter the words, "He walked out on you and he ain't coming back." But that would have been a good way to open the show, even though the way they did it was actually genius.
Heyman stealing the plot, I think, was brilliant because Heyman and Punk had that ongoing friendship and then a feud. So it makes sense for it to be Heyman, but that would have been an awesome way to bring Barrett. I don't think you could have built up a feud out of that eventually, but either way, but I think the way they did it was the best option.
Would have got Barrett a lot of heat, wouldn't it? Imagine that.
A lot.
I've got some bad news for you. CM Punk isn't coming back. Fuck you, crowd. Even though WWE pretty much said that in the show anyway, so it didn't really matter. How would you make Wade Barrett a top guy in WWE? Oh, God. Well, I've got some good news and some... No, I'm not going to go with that again. Go on, you go.
I think this whole bad news thing, not seen him wrestle since he's been this bad news Barrett, so maybe just some tricks of his sleeve. I think he should target a top guy and say it was a bad news. I'm not sure what the exact line would be, but I feel he should target someone, maybe like Chris Jericho, start a put him over kind of guy, and go with that.
It's difficult to say. I mean, like, they did at one point have him to a level where they probably could have given him like a big win at WrestleMania in a Money in the Bank, for example, and maybe could have made him some kind of champion. But again, Wade Barrett is one of those guys that's fallen into obscurity, and even though I think he's quite talented, obviously WWE just don't see it. It's a real shame. But again, you got to legitimize this guy with feuds with names and big wins at big pay-per-views, and maybe back it up with a WrestleMania win against the legend, and have him go a long time, maybe even win the Royal Rumble. You got to do drastic things if you're going to resurface this Wade Barrett character that, let's face it, was once the top heel in the fucking company with Nexus.
I'm hoping this bad news Barrett does not go down another mid-card run. That's what I'm hoping. If they do bring him back into wrestling, they've got bigger plans for him.
Right, final set of questions. RFV089. To Mr. Parkin, what advice would you give me on how to revise for first-year university exams? Don't. Because all you need to do is get a pass and then you go on to second year. So you can do maybe a little bit of revision, but you don't need to do all that much. I did because I had no idea about business and I've never done it before, so I kind of had to. If it's a subject you're very familiar with and you feel you can do well on it, then by all means, don't do any revision. But if you have, I would just advise, do a little bit of revision, but you don't have to because you just need to get 40%. Well, that's the way I see it anyway. 2NJ, what is your favourite James Bond film?
Again, I'm not a fan of Daniel Craig, even though people are raving over him being so great. I liked Live and Let Die, that was brilliant. I liked all that. I like The Man with the Golden Gun. So, those two.
Do you think CM Punk is kind of selfish to leave the WWE without putting some guys over? The Rock always got a lot for a stick for leaving without putting many people over, yet people are defending Punk and not taking into account that he didn't put anybody over on his own. Well, of course people are defending Punk because Punk has his fanboys, and, I think what they don't realise is WWE actually put a lot into the CM Punk character with feuds against big names. So his contract was expiring in June, so yeah, it's why didn't they have him, if they knew he was going to leave, why didn't they have him put some guys over? I mean, it would have made a lot of sense business-wise, especially if you knew he was going to leave.
In small defense of CM Punk, I think, obviously, CM Punk must have done some complaining about John Cena or something, and being unhappy with his way he's been treated. So I think the WWE were trying their hardest to give him big matches, to make him feel important, to put him in place to try and keep him in. So they started saying, right, we know you're leaving, we don't care, we're going to put you against Fandango, make you put Fandango over. I think CM Punk would be like, you what? You're on crack.
I'm going to take my ball and go just like Austin did.
So they saved him in a way. Try to.
Well, possibly. But the thing is, with his contract expiring in June/July, would you have had him beat Triple H at WrestleMania? Because I fucking sure as hell wouldn't.
I think, obviously, if that led on to something bigger for CM Punk.
If his contract would have been expiring.
Or he could have re-signed. Maybe Triple H was scheduled to win, that's why CM Punk
probably made it very clear he wasn't going to resign.
Maybe.
Just saying. Anyway, that's another Q&A with some interesting answers. If you have any comments on some of the questions we've answered, please put them in the comment section below. Also, any questions, best place to put them is that comment section below down there so I can sort through them.
Thank you very much for watching, people. We want the more questions, the better. So please, please, please spread the Q&As. Bring the questions in and we'll keep answering them. And from NJ and Mr. Parkin, the two members of the British Fist, thank you very much for watching. And there'll be many more videos to come. I'm trying to make this outro as long as possible. But till next time, goodbye.
Allow me to make it even longer then, NJ. La 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 la. We are the British Fist. Oi, oi!